On a chilly night in the spring of 1986, a group of middle school children, including myself, decided to sneak out of their homes at midnight, call a taxi, and go on quite an adventure in Chocowinity, North Carolina. This is my childhood home, this is the window where I escaped, and this is our adventure.
Here's how it all started. Back in the 80s, before we had the internet or VCRs or cell phones or anything like that, if you were a teenager, you had to make your own fun. And what kids would do is you would cruise around the Washington Square Mall, around the mall at night, and it's like, who can see and be seen? It was the coolest thing. My friends and I were into middle school, and we weren't old enough to do that. And besides, I had been suspended 4 times in 3 months, and so I was on so much restriction, I had done nothing. So I was about to burst at the seams because I used to have all this energy and I couldn't contain it. I said, we got to do something. So I said to my friends, I said, why don't we at midnight sneak out of our houses? We'll call a taxi from the Joe Duck Taxi Company, because that was the only taxi company in Washington, North Carolina. I said, and we will get in that taxi and we will cruise around the mall. Everyone thought this was a great idea, but then Lisa Hardy chickened out, and then Lee Paramore chickened out. And so it ended up, it was just going to be Pam Beavers, Monica, and Melanie were the only ones that said, we will do it. So here's what happened. My parents were going away for the weekend. They went to Ocracoke. It's this island off the coast, like 2 hours out in the ocean, Atlantic Ocean off the coast of North Carolina. It's real cool. So they were there, and I was staying with Mother, my grandmama. And so I had this idea that I was going to call the taxi company. So I called them, and I didn't have any money, but I had a change jar. But all the quarters were gone because I used it to actually print out this newspaper that I passed around school that got me suspended. So all I had was like nickels and pennies left. But I had my jar with my nickels and pennies, and I got into the frame of the window of my bedroom. And I was like a howler monkey. And I was like sitting on this, like ready to jump, and I was waiting. Now I called a Joe Duck taxi place. I said, when you come, don't honk the horn or pull in the driveway, just pull up out front, because I didn't want to wake up Mother. And so I'm sitting there waiting like the howler monkey, just waiting for the taxi to come, and all of a sudden it pulls into the driveway. I was like, crap. I said, well, I gotta go. So I just jump out the window like a ninja, and it was awesome. And I'm running with my jar, one of my jar coins, and I get to the taxi, and it's my sister. I'm like, Tassie, what are you doing? She said, I came home early. She said, what are you doing outside? I said, don't worry about it. Well, the porch lights come on. I said, Lord have mercy, Mother's up. That's a crisis, because Mother was not one to play with. I was like, hide me. So I got behind Tassie, and she's walking up to the door. Well, Mother couldn't see real good at night when she didn't have her glasses on. She's like, Tassie, that's you? And she was like, yeah. And then she saw me. She's like, Ron, what are you doing? I said, oh, I came to open the door to let Tess in. She said, oh, okay. So we come inside. She closes the door. She does the 3 latches. All of a sudden, as we're walking back down the hall to the bedrooms, I heard honk, honk. I'm like, crap, it's the taxi. I said, well, I'm in it now. So I run to my room, pull my door shut, and I go head first out the window. As I do, the back of my foot catches the windowsill, and the whole window frame comes down. Glass crashes all over me. I'm all cut up. Coins, pennies, and nickels all over the ground. I'm like, well, I'm in it now. I got to go. So I run, and the taxi driver has pulled into the driveway. I'm like, crap. I just get in the taxi. Now I get in the back seat, and I slam the door. Cigar smoke. I was like, I can't even catch my breath. It's this humongous man sitting there driving the taxi. And he's got this cigar, and he's playing this jazz music. It was like da down, da down, 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 down. And he goes, where do you want to go? And I was like, a house by Wilmar Grocery Store. Now, Wilmar Grocery Store is out there almost to Vanceboro. That's a long way. And so he said, you sure you want to go that far? I said, yes, sir. He said, you have money? I'm like, oh, yes, sir. I got plenty of money. And I'm thinking about all my pennies and nickels on the end of grass. I'm like, well, don't worry, because Pam Beavers, she always had some money. And she said she had $20. I'm like, that'll get us wherever we want to go. So we get past the Wilmar Grocery Store. We get to Pam's house. I said, don't pull in the driveway. Pull up out front, turn the lights off. So he did it, and we waited. When I looked up at Pam Beaver's dad's house, the lights were still on, and I was like, it looks like he's still awake. She's gonna have to be really crafty to sneak out. Well, she didn't come out. So we go to the Wilmar Grocery Store. I call Pam. She's like, I can't come. My dad's still awake. He knows what's going on. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm like, Pam, I have no money. I'm coming back. She's like, don't come back. I'll get in trouble. I said, Pam, you got to give me the money. I ain't got no money. So I tell the taxi driver, I said, pull up. Don't honk the horn. He pulls in the driveway. Honk, honk. I'm like, crap. Pam Beavers comes running out. She's got this little jar of coins in one hand, a $20 bill in the other. And she's like, my dad's awake. I'm in trouble. I can't go. He knows what's going on. I'm like, what? And as she's running away, I'm going, give me the money. And she runs back into the house. I'm like, crap. And he says, what do you want to do now? Da down, da down, 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 down. And I'm like, okay, let's go pick up my friend Monica. Now I knew Monica would come out the window because we had snuck out to our houses all the time. She was just a mile away from me. We'd get on our bicycles, ride all around town. It's just something country kids would do in the middle of the night. So we get to Monica's house. All the lights are pitch dark. I'm like, perfect. So I go up to her window. Knock, knock, knock. I knock on the window. I'm waiting. Knock, knock, knock. Waiting on the window. She never came. I was like, what's going on? I said, well, I can't wait too much longer. So I get in the taxi car. Later, I found out her dad had a medical emergency that night. They were at the ER. That's why she didn't come out. He said, where are we going now? I said, we have to go pick up Melanie. He said, where does she live? Now, Melanie lived, you got to go through Washington, down past Havens Gardens, and then go over the bridge to the River Road where the rich people live. And I was like, we got to go there. He's like, all the way there? I'm like, yes, sir. So we go all the way there. I get to the little phone booth where I was supposed to call Melanie. I called her, and Melanie's like, I can't come out. I can't come out. And this is Melanie's excuse for not coming out.
Hey, Ron, it's Melanie. So, to answer your question regarding my lack of attendance in the taxi adventure with our old crew, the answer is, drumroll, I was still grounded from the Lemon Tree Inn debacle.
Some drama. And so anyway, so I'm like, oh my gosh, Melanie, you can't come. She's like, no. So I get back in the car. He's like, where you want to go next? And for a moment, I thought about, I'm going to go cruise that mall. But I thought better of it. I said, can you take me back home? He said, sure thing. Down. We get all the way back to my house. He pulls up in front. He doesn't go inside or honk the horn. And I'm just sitting there. And he goes, it's $142.13. And I just sat there. I had no money. Pam had all the money, and she ain't had but $20. I didn't think it'd be $142. Like, Lord have mercy, taxi is expensive. And I just sat there. And it must have been like 30 seconds. And finally he goes, you don't have any money, do you? And this man is huge. I'm thinking, if I take off running, I'm probably faster than him. But if he did catch me, he'd kill me. He'd rip me apart, sit on me, I'd be dead. And so I said, no, sir, I don't have any money. And he said, go on, get out of here. Joe Duck Taxi Company, I love you. And I was like, I'm so sorry, thank you so much. So I jump out, I run up to the house, but there was drama because glass is everywhere, all the coins are everywhere. And I'm like, I've been suspended 4 times in 3 months. This is the last straw. My parents will literally kill me this time. What am I gonna do? So I went out back of the house, I got a ladder, pulled it to the front of the house, went through the window, I went in the kitchen, I got the Windex and the paper towels. Now I cleaned these windows here, which are at the front of the house. I cleaned them real perfect. Then I sat by my window and I waited till I heard Mother's toilet flush, because then I know she's awake in the morning. Once I heard it flush, because she take that prune juice, then I threw down the ladder, I threw the Windex and everything, I start screaming, ah, ah. And Mother comes running to my room. She's like, what's going on? I was like, Mother, I was trying to Windex and clean all the windows of the house to be good. And when I got to mine, I fell and slipped and I took the whole window down. And she said, buddy, are you stupid? It's nighttime. I said, well, it's dawn. The sun's coming up. And I was just trying to be good. And so anyway, my parents come home. She tells them the story. Like, Ron, we appreciate you doing that, but that doesn't make no sense. Why would you do it so early in the morning? I said, I was just trying to do as much as I could before you got here. So I got a week taken off of restriction from my last suspension from school, which was pretty cool. So I got out of it. It was completely my fault. But the next week, I said, Pam Beavers, I am upset with you, girl, because you let me hang it and give me the money. She said, okay, I'll make it up to you. She said, we will sneak out of our houses this coming Saturday night and we'll have an adventure. Now that adventure, y'all, it ends up, we got involved with the SBI, which is like the State Bureau of Investigation, the police department, the fire department, arsonist, and Monica makes an appearance. That night was one for the record books, and that will be our next story.